Hello, and welcome to the Cozy Book Nook, a writer's show that will explore ways to connect with other writers, share about our book messages, and navigate the ever-changing world of book promotion. Today, we'll have 3 guest writers discussing what works and doesn't for their book promotions, and you'll gain some strategies to improve your book campaign today. As always, anyone is welcome to the Cozy Book Nook, and we're glad to have you, writers and Golden Hearts. I'm Christina Goebel. I love Golden Heart, author of the Golden Heart books and the Birthright Science Fiction Fantasy Trilogy. I'm also an editor and public speaker on many topics through the lens of loving humanity. Laban, tell us about yourself.
And I'm Laban M'mbololo, and inspired by Laban, a writer with a deep-seated passion for inspiring people. With 23 completed manuscripts under my belt and 5 published books, including the intriguing book titled Why I Dumb People Richer Than You, I've dedicated my life to captivating readers and exploring the power of the written word. I'm also a sales and business expert. As a fellow wordsmith, I have learned firsthand that writing a great book is just the beginning. Today we're here to equip each other with the tools to share your stories with the world. We've all walked this path, and we're eager to hear and share the experiences and insights together.
Thank you, Laban. Since this is the first Cozy Book Nook show, we invite you, listeners, to tell us a little bit about yourself. If you would like to say hi, send us a comment so that we can activate you as a speaker. Okay, Lily, you've received an invitation to speak.
Some of you know me already. My name's Lily Lawson. I'm a poet and writer of short stories and short. Even now I'm not prepared to speak here. And I'm children's books. I just want to come and support people here today.
Thank you, Lily. I think this is exactly what we wanted. There is going to be a lot of informality in the Cozy Book Nook. We want authors and poets to be able to come together and share what works, what doesn't work for us on our book promotions, as well as developing our platforms as writers and as poets. And so we can definitely help one another a lot. Okay, so was there someone else, let's see, that was going to speak? Did you? I think I invited you.
Hi, everybody. Not sure if this will work. I'm on a laptop, so let me know if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Okay, beautiful. I'm coming to you from a soggy, rainy Ontario. I'm just intrigued to hear Lisa and Joe chat and the two of you. So thanks for inviting.
Okay, thank you. Well, we're definitely glad to have you here. And we're going to open up more after each speaker talks. So you're going to have more opportunities to be asking those questions when you really want to. Okay, so each week we will have micro interviews of authors discussing the nitty-gritty about promoting books on X, other social media, and on your website. Let me give you an example of X book promotion in my case. Nothing has been more effective for my books for sales than using social media as a way to connect with people. I interact with the tweets of others and with those who comment online. And part of that is tweeting groups of authors together so that they can make new introductions. But nothing beats authentic personal interactions, such as paying close attention to what people say and responding with insight. While I buy books from authors I love so much that I'm forced to leave X and Twitter to buy their book. We need to consider that a book purchase may force someone off of X Twitter to complete the purchase. So it's kind of taking us out of our plan for the day. So we have to consider what is their incentive. Today we're going to hear from guest speakers Joanne J.C. Paulson and Lisa Haden. Laban, let's go ahead and introduce Joanne.
Okay, absolutely. It's my pleasure to introduce the talented Joanne J.C. Paulson, a longtime Canadian journalist, has been publishing newspapers and magazines for longer than she would care to admit. About 8 years ago, her unquiet brain demanded a bit of change, and she shifted from fact to fiction. She is the author of the mystery series, including the novels Adam's Witness through Clifton Stewart and 200 Bones, a novella. She has also written a historical fiction and Western novel entitled Blood and Dust, published by Writing, and a wee children's book, Magic Mag, and the Mischief Makers. Welcome, Joanna.
Thank you so much, Laban. Lovely. Appreciate that introduction very much. I hope I have anything useful to say. I'm going to do the shortest history of marketing on earth and start when I launched Adam's Witness and had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I didn't go into it as I'm going to be an author and sell my books in the way that some people do. I had written it as a one-off, really, at the time to soothe the savage breast, I suppose. Anyway, I was a few months in and I realized that I actually did want to sell these books. And a promoter from New York got in touch with me via my website. And I didn't know what to think because I was so new to this. I was sort of gobsmacked. So he said, look, phone me. I know you're hesitant. You think I'm a scam, but phone me. So I phone him. He picks up the phone in Central Park. There's traffic all over the place. And he explained what he wanted to do. And it made sense to me. He said, I'm going to put your book into all these book promo sites and you're going to get thousands of downloads. And of course, it was up for free. I said, okay, I didn't believe this for a minute, but it was true. And over the next few days, I had thousands and thousands of downloads, and it blew my mind. Of course, I didn't make any money on this, right? Because I only had the one book out, so there was no read-through. But I was hooked, and he was terrific, and he was even relatively inexpensive. And I thought, oh, how hard can this possibly be? Well, over time, I would say that marketing has actually become harder, not easier. So that was about 8 years ago, I guess. And I've had to really struggle since then trying to find different ways to get my books out there. So I think times have changed. I think I hit sort of the end of that big indie surge where things were actually much easier to sell. It's my opinion. I could be wrong. It could be my books. Who knows? And I think book promo sites since then have expanded and they have become more genre specific. I've seen a lot of changes there. And now when I put books up for free on these sites, they do okay still, or even at 99 cents, but I don't get these huge waves that I used to. And I expect that's because you can only go to the same wells so often. That's my view. I still do it from time to time. And now, of course, I get read-throughs. So I certainly would say that having a series or a number of books helps a great deal. Lately, I have been trying Facebook ads and X ads as well. X ads have worked to an extent. They certainly get you a lot of impressions and a lot of click-through. I would not say I'm getting masses of sales. I think other people have had better luck with that. I think they're more clever at this, perhaps, than I am. And I know there's somebody listening today who might want to weigh in on that. We'll see about that. I recently did a couple of, what would you call them, I guess, webinars on Facebook ads and sort of have tried to use their recommendations. And that actually has worked quite well. I have changed my Facebook ads significantly so that they look less like ads and more like, I don't know, pretty, and intriguing images. And while I am not making any ROI, return on investment yet, that has actually been quite promising. And I'm going to start another one this week and see how I do. I think that the advice not to have too much cluttering your ad, not to have too many words in the image has actually worked very well for me because I used to probably put too much verbiage in my advertising. So that seems to be helping. A quick note on BookBub. It is incredibly difficult, as I think everybody probably knows, to get accepted by BookBub. But Blood and Dust, because it was traditionally published, and did make it onto the BookBub platform, and it did very well there twice. And again, I'm not sure how often you can go to that well, but if you can get on BookBub, it certainly drives up not just your sales, but your presence. And so that worked very well for me. But again, that was only with the traditional publisher. I'm going to end with a passionate plea to the entire world and community to stop doing as many free promos. I think we're underselling our work. Everybody's expecting us to give away our work, and it has resulted to the detriment of everybody. Free culture is killing us, I think, and we have to value our work But we have to come at this as a community, and I don't actually know how to go about that. But there has to be a way to wiggle people away from expecting free books. You're not going to get as much readership as you would if it sold. You're not going to get the same number of reviews, and you're obviously not going to make money. And I don't know about you, but I still have bills to pay. So it's it's just not a good way of going about this. And it's not just, of course, in the book community. We have lost leaders in every aspect of commerce, but it's particularly bad in art. And I think we have to move away from that. So that's my very quick history of marketing. Obviously, I've tried other things too. I've tried Amazon ads. They do not work for me because I cannot afford to spend enough money on Amazon to get them to put my ad up. And I've sort of given up. I don't think I can afford it. If anybody else has had good success on Amazon, oh boy, am I listening. And yeah, I'm looking forward to what everybody else has to say. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Darian. That was perfect for a micro interview. It was very short. And the reason why is because we want people to be able to interact with Darian and with what she said. So does anyone have any questions for her?
I'll pose a question if that's okay. Joe, you mentioned BookBub and you had success a couple times on there. Just for people who haven't tried that or don't know what the process is, can you maybe explain sort of how you put your book forth and, how they let you know if you've been accepted and so on?
Yeah, I'll speak to that to the extent I can. So my publisher put it up there. And Blood and Dust is available widely, not just on Amazon. And that is very important to BookBub, it seems. Doesn't mean you're out if you're only on Amazon. But if your book's available widely, they smile upon that aspect. So the publisher put it up there. Boy, it was expensive though. Like, wow. It was pricey. And I'm a Canadian, so I'm paying these fees in American dollars. Now I grant you the American dollars, right? Considering the fee you paid, the royalties are split between you and your publisher. You have to sell a heck of a lot of books to make it all worthwhile, right? That said, I moved a lot of books and I made money on it. Not a lot, but I made money on it. So they only, you're paying for this promotion, but they only accept so many every day. So you have to prove that your book is worthy to the powers that be at BookBub for them to accept you. And I don't know if this is still true, but when I first started looking into BookBub, and I grant you that some time ago, you were only accepting approximately 10% of the applicants. So it is a bit of a coup to get in there, or at least it was in the past. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you. Yeah, I've never gone about trying or set up an account on there or anything, but I was just curious kind of how the whole process, worked. And like you said, if it's such a small number that are even accepted for the average sort of newbie indie author, that's probably not going to be, like you said, the way that they're going to make it or that they're going to make money to pay bills. So it's something to keep in your back pocket. But the other things you mentioned are probably worth pursuing.
Yeah, I would agree with those comments. I don't think that it is a place to, throw anywhere from, I don't know, I would say a $200 or $300 to $600 to $800 into if you don't have a bit of a reputation, if you don't have books for read through, all of those things, because it is pricey. And you're also, I wouldn't say wasting your time. I do have an account. I don't think that's been a waste of time. I have picked up a couple of readers and author friends there, but it's a tough goal. And I think, book promo sites are probably, the ones that are less expensive and better, possibly better known, like Bargain Booksy, for example. That's probably a better way to go until you've really figured this out.
I'm glad that you mentioned Bargain Booksy. Can you tell them a little bit more about that?
Bargain Booksy is great. It has been very, very, very good for me until just the last couple of goes. And, again, you got to sell a bunch of books to get your investment back. But if you're willing to put your book on sale, right, it's got to be a bargain. That's why they call it that. They have an enormous email list. So it goes out to thousands and thousands of people. And then the free Booksy version of that, right, same company, Written Word Media, if you're willing to put it up for free, you're going to get even more attention because people like free, as I said. So you just, go to written word media, choose your genre, choose your date, stick it out there, and hopefully watch the downloads start to come down start to roll in, I should say, on your Amazon account. I think it's a very good promo site. I've also had luck with, oh dear, e-reader, is it? If anybody recognizes that, like, put up your hand and tell me if I'm right. I've had good luck there. Some people have good luck with Fussy Librarian. I do think that as time goes on, we need to be very cognizant that different sites work better in different genres overall. And as soon as I figure that out, I'll let you know. But obviously, like Red Feather Romance, for example, you're going to put your romance books in there and nothing else. That one's an obvious one, for example. And I've just seen them split out more and more as time goes on. If anybody disagrees with that, do let me know.
But yes.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm making notes on these and I'll try to get them up on the website so that things that the authors are mentioning, you'll have links to those and you'll be able to investigate those sources for yourself. Who else wanted to speak?
I was just going to about Booksy. Joe mentioned the Booksy stuff. It always works for me as well. It works back the first, maybe one or two times you use it. Like she mentioned that pool. I mean, you can only kind of dip in so many times. But for example, you might spend $70. It's a one-day promo, but it goes out to maybe 100,000 people. So the reach is quite large, and I've had success each time, but the first couple were the best.
Yeah, exactly, Jen. I think that's the way it works, right? And the other thing is, if I may add, I haven't published in a couple of years. That's not helping. So if you're a wonderful human being who can churn out the books and get, you can go back to that well with your new book and see some more success. And I think that it's really good. Their series, they have a specific promo for series, and I have found that to be very helpful. And you can even put all of your books on sale if you like, right? And see if you can move a whole bunch of them. And that's been pretty good for me as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing, Joanne. I wanted to ask you a quick question in terms of the FB ads. You mentioned that they've been quite promising for you. And I'd like you to shed a bit of light on the intriguing images that you're using. What are they like? And talk a little bit about them.
Okay, so just to be very careful about what I'm saying here, I'm not making a ton of money on this yet. I've tried this new approach just quite recently, but I had sales, I had interest, I even had a bunch of likes on my ad, which gives you that social proof, right? So I think this is a much better approach. So one of my ads is my main character, Grace, the reporter, walking up to the church in which the first murder takes place, and it's quite dim. It's an evening scene. There's snow on the streets. She's kind of huddled into her coat and walking up to this church. And instead of saying Adam's Witness on the image, or having an Amazon logo, which is apparently problematic these days too, it just says it has a review, very short, and then it says Amazon review, and that's about it. And hopefully it looks sort of intriguing enough, the image itself. And then with the review, that's all you need. And that worked the best for me out of the other ones. I don't have the book image on there either, to be specific. The book is not on there. It's just my character in this sort of semi-spooky kind of space. And the other parts of the ad do the rest of the work for you, right? You have a headline, you have a link, and that's where you say, Adam's Witness, have your blurb, and then you have your link at the bottom. So you don't need to have your book image in the dominant image. And anyway, that ad has worked the best for me so far, because I have tried Facebook ads over the years many, many times with absolutely no response. So you know what, I'm just going to say that Matthew Holmes, a gentleman who promotes his wife's books, I did one of his webinars and I just found him brilliant. He's just tested all of these things in 16 million different ways. And he was very helpful. So, and he does have one free session that is broken up into, I think, 8, very, very short little video components. It was fantastic. And I would recommend taking a peek at him, Matthew Holmes. Yeah, Holmes.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Joe, what I'm picking up from what you're saying is that the marketing has changed over recent years, and the things that you maybe have tried in the past are not necessarily working for you now in the future. And people need to be aware of that and maybe look at new strategies in order to continue to promote even their backlist, because we shouldn't neglect to promote our backlist. Would that be correct? Would you say that was?
Yeah, that's beautifully summed up. Actually, yes. So when I got on Twitter originally, it was before I started writing. I was doing it for journalistic reasons. I was very glad to have the account set up, I'll tell you, so it was good. So when I first started on Twitter, actually, I did sell some books on Twitter, and not just to friends. I don't think I have sold a book on Twitter except perhaps like one or two here and there to friends in 3 years. You can't just stick your book up on Twitter in the writing community echo chamber and expect to get sales. It does not work that way at all, or in my view and in my experience. That doesn't mean everyone's having the same experience. Let me emphasize. I still do it because, respond to tags and book lists occasionally, because I love my author community. I love these people. I have made such incredible friends here. Incredible. Some of them have become personal friends. I would never give that up for the world. And to that extent, I'm grateful to be on Twitter, the X, and having put all this time into it. The wealth of experience and the intimacy of the relationships, you just cannot, I don't know, I haven't found anywhere else, and I'm deeply grateful for it. But I'm not selling books on Twitter, and I used to. So that is one way that the environment has changed. And I'm just going to say it again, we have to get away from this free culture, because I think that's the other thing, is that you have developed this free culture over the last, I'm not even sure, I've only been around for 8 years, right? Over that period, it's got to go. It's got to go. We have to figure out another way around this. We also, I think, if we put our heads together, maybe we come up with different ways of promoting on Twitter. Sorry, I can't get used to calling it X, because what we're doing, at least for me, if we think we're going to sell books here, we're wrong, I think.
Okay, so thank you, Diane. And these are important insights. So I wanted to add to our advanced authors that have been doing things for a while. We've discovered that just because we publish a book doesn't mean that that's the end of the work that you have to do to develop your writing platform. The platform is more than your book, okay? It's your book, your public speaking opportunities, your podcast interviews, spaces, your website, everywhere that you interact with the world, your other social media. So one thing that I wanted to address today, I don't want to punish you guys and make you wait forever to have some great ideas that you can implement today, is to say, today, why don't you try to use Twitter to get some people to your website so that they can learn more about it, they can subscribe to your newsletter, and then you can email them about your upcoming opportunities, whether it's listening to you on a podcast or whether it's coming to a book signing. So really, Twitter can be very powerful in leads generation. And so don't forget to use that as one of your options within your social media. Okay. Now, I want to introduce Lisa Haden. Lisa, are you ready? So Lisa Haden is the author of Unprecedented Times. My goodness, her promos are awesome. If you haven't checked them out, check them out. It's a science fiction dystopian novel and book one in the alternative history trilogy available on Amazon. She's also a singer-songwriter, featured on BBC Radio and BBC Sounds, and an accidental GIF maker. I love that. Based in Birmingham, UK, Lisa is a self-employed content writer and digital marketer, as well as a single mom of 3. Okay, Lisa, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you for having me today. To be completely honest with you, I've gone the completely opposite way to Joanna has done. As you said, I'm a single mom of 3. I don't have any money to invest in marketing. And from doing digital marketing in my everyday business, I can see businesses spend an awful lot of money on injecting money into marketing and just not seeing a return on that investment. As Joanna said, when you do things like Facebook adverts and Google ads and things like that, you do need to have a lot of money in order to generate people to see your posts. And I just don't have the money to be able to do that. So everything that I've done to market my book has all been for free. And that has been painstaking. It has taken much longer. It hasn't had as much interest in it or generated as much visibility for my book as some other authors have done. But unfortunately, that's just the way that I've had to do it because, like I say, I just don't have any funds to market my book. When I went into this, it was never really with the view of becoming a best-selling author and selling millions. It was just simply a case of I wanted to write a story, step outside of my comfort zone and sort of just really just get out there and try and write a book that other people found interesting. So when I stepped into this environment and I saw other authors spending hundreds, potentially thousands on adverts and book tours and all these other marketing ideas, it was fantastic, but it wasn't something that I was able to do myself. So I've gone the completely opposite way and I've relied completely on social media and generating my own opportunities. So rather than pay to do book tours and other marketing events such as that, I've created them myself on Instagram. I've created my own book tours. Me and Laban actually did one a couple of years ago, and we got a bunch of other authors involved and we marketed their books as well as them marketing ours. What I find works best for me personally is to show a lot of support and love for that writing community. As you said, I do my promotional posts every day. They generate a lot of interest. A lot of people are really excited to have a space to be able to share their book with other people, because as authors, marketing just doesn't come naturally to us. A lot of us are introverts, so to go out of our comfort zone and show our book off, it's just not something that comes natural to us. So what I found is that if I give people that space in order to promote themselves and share their own work, and then I share mine along with that, but they will then happily share my work with other people. And when other people see my work being recommended to them by a third person rather than myself, I think that generates more interest because they have a bit more first in thinking that it's a popular book or it's got a good story base or something like that, rather than those promotions coming directly from me. So I try to promote other people and get them to sort of promote my book for me because I find that works. I don't have a lot of book sales on Twitter or on X or on Instagram or on TikTok, really. It's not a high volume of books, but it is a steady stream, which is really all I'm looking for. I think one of the best things that you can do, like I say, is keep posting on social media, but keep in mind that, as Joanna says, the market has changed. We authors, and we want to write about our books and we want to tell people blurbs and give them tropes so that people understand what's involved in our books. But actually, the audience that we're creating these little adverts and promo posts for, they don't actually want to see large volumes of text anymore. So what I tend to do is I create images and videos and graphics on Canva. Now, you can use Canva for free. I do pay for professional Canva account, which I think is in England anyway. It's $10.99 a month. And boy, I get my money's worth out of that. I create videos, graphics, and all kinds of things to sort of promote my book, because I find that actually people are more responsive to something visual rather than heavy text-based marketing. And I think it's also important from a marketing point of view to vary what you put on different platforms. So, for example, what will work for me on X won't necessarily work on Instagram and almost never works on TikTok. On TikTok, I have to do videos and they have to be short, snappy. They have to really engage the audience. Whereas on Instagram, they can be sort of more story-based. And then on X, again, more story-based, and then with a bit of information there. So I think it's important to think about how your audience responds to things on different platforms and vary what you put out there on different platforms according to what your audience wants to see. And also, I'm going to go against Joanna again, and I'm very sorry to say this, but I actually think people should embrace the free culture because it is what people want to see. Unfortunately, people do want things for free. Now, I'm not saying give everything away for free all the time at all. But for example, it was just my 40th birthday last week. So I ran a free promotion where I gave away a free ebook, and it was only for 2 days. Off the back of that, someone has received the free ebook. They've come to and sent me a direct message. They've told me they really enjoyed the book, so much so that they're going to go out and they've actually purchased the paperback copy because they want it for their bookcase. I'm not saying give stuff away for free all the time, but if you can run little promotional posts, for example, I did one on Instagram where I ran a competition and said I'm going to select 2 people to win a free paperback copy. I've run ones where I've offered to give people a free signed copy. Although obviously everyone isn't a winner, those people who are winners are very grateful for that. They read the book, they tend to review the book, and those people who haven't won will then say to me, okay, well, now I'm going to go and buy the book. So I'm not saying give everything away for free all the time, but I do think that you need to embrace that free culture because people do want things for free, unfortunately. And I think as a creative person, you can't expect to make millions off of one book. It is a case of you need to be consistent with putting work out there, keep yourself fresh in people's minds, and really give the audience what it is that they want. And if they want something for free, well then do what I did and give it to them for 2 days every year.
There's an extra thing there might be a difference between giving something away for free for a brief period of time on whatever frequency and the business of promoting, of giving away books free on a regular basis, because other promo sites require you to do so. I'd have to give books away free in the past for long periods of time, and I'm learning now that perhaps it's not necessarily the way that we should go. But the giveaways are, I think, different to maybe what maybe what we were saying about free books.
Oh, absolutely.
I kind of agree with you. I kind of agree with you, Lily, because I also resonate with what JC was talking about in terms of not giving a lot of stuff free at church. There's basically, when you give it for free, you kind of like undervalue it. So people are not going to get excited buying it. So I'm of the view that, we should be limited towards, giving lots of free stuff.
May I leap in here just very briefly? I continue to do freebies a couple of times a year, absolutely, because you never know if you're going to pick up some read-through readers. So I take the point there, Lisa. There was a long period there where people suggested that if you have a series, you put the first book up on permanent free, for example. That's the kind of thing I guess I was mostly talking about, and not to have free promotions too often. But permanent free, in my view, is insanity. That's all I want to add.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree.
Thank you, Lisa, for sharing.
Permanently free, and like you say, permanently free, it undervalues your work completely. I was just of the mind that, if people want free, then we can offer that to them for a very brief period of time in order to satisfy the audience. And then hopefully when I've given stuff away for free in the past, it's improved my rankings on Amazon. It's generated some reviews, which in turn has boosted my book. And then when I've put it back to paid, it's still then gained some interest and some sales.
I'm glad a lot of people were talking about whether we should offer free books and whether we aren't. And I believe in expansion. And so I think that free books are a part of our platform. And I think that most of the authors here will agree that free books do something very valuable to you. There is a price exchange. They feel like I got this book, so I should give them a review at least. And Amazon has policies. You're not supposed to say, oh, well, I'm giving you this book and you must write me a review. But you can ask if they would please, if they feel so inclined to read your book. To review the book. And so I believe that that is the most valuable thing that people are getting from the free books, especially on something like Goodreads. They have the Goodreads giveaways. I noticed that a lot of people would review that way. And so it's not easy to get reviews, especially if you're bootstrapping. And like Lisa was saying, you don't have a lot of budget. Well, some of these like Bargain Booksy and some of those ones that allow you to do very low price advertising, what it does is it gets you a lot of free readers and it gets you more reviews on your book. And the more reviews that you have, the higher you come up in the book ranking systems. which means that your book gets seen more. But it's only a part of what we're doing. So the rest of what we're doing is, and so you say, well, I'm not getting that much for books. I mean, even if you're selling a book for $24.95, it's not a ton of money. I mean, not when you're comparing it to a public speaking opportunity. When I was doing conferences, one of my speakers getting $4,000 to speak, and he's getting his hotel paid for, and he's getting his car rental paid for. And so many of you are also very gifted in public speaking. You can do podcast interviews, radio. There's so many things that you can do. You can do joint venture partnerships with other authors and share email list, basically, because then they promote your book to their list. So these are a lot of things. And Laban, can you speak now? Okay. Let me go ahead and read his part. We did a script, and I highly recommend this if you want to do any ongoing show, that you do a script. And we're calling this a podcast because that's really what it is. Laban said, remember when you had your book written and got it published, and you didn't know what strategy would create a buzz and get you noticed? I've been in that path. I began with about 283 followers on X in 2020, and recall Zig Ziglar once said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. So I began to create motivational quotes that I would share with my followers and fellow writers and include them in the tweets, but also showing genuine interest in their work and promoting their books on X. This is what I call offering value. I would usually send about 200 tweets a day. Now, he's not doing that now. Sharing positive, inspirational messages, sharing writing tips as well as industry insights. This becomes important in building an author's platform. And after I had built a good rapport with them and had begun to notice positive engagements, this was the right time to shoot straight and DM them with a synopsis of the particular book that resonated with their bio, requesting them to leave reviews on my book. It's always important to identify relevant authors, crafting personalized messages, and following up. Within around 10 months, my followers grew from 283 to 20,000. My reviews also grew, and so did the book sales. Well, I close up the Cozy Book Nook, but I would have some final parting thoughts. I would like you to commit to applying some of the strategies that we discussed today to your own book campaigns. Treat yourself well. I know that all of us have been putting off elements of our book platforms or our author platforms, such as updating our websites, promoting our websites, regular blogging, so that people know what's going on with our daily lives. Like you said, some of you, okay, well, I haven't published a book in years. You have a life every day. So blogging, being on radio shows, and working with other authors, sharing personal insights about your life helps people to get to know who you are. I mean, I wish that Lisa was here this minute, but when she was talking, I felt so personally invested in her. I mean, she's like, it's hard, I don't advertise but I still am writing, basically for the passion of writing, which all of us can admire so much. And it brings you closer to Lisa, and you're like, man, I want to look at her books, right? Yeah. Okay, so Laban, I'm going to close out and we'll work out this technology issue. So thank you for attending the Cozy Book Nook broadcast. We ask you to commit to increasing your book promotions and expanding your author platforms each week after our show. Use it as an excuse to have homework each week, to do something small for yourself. Join us every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time for Writing Community Connections and ways to increase the reach of your book to connect with book lovers everywhere. Your message matters, and let's encourage and support one another in our mission to love the world with our words. Does anyone have parting thoughts?
I'd just like to say it would be nice to pursue the whole discussion about free again, maybe next week or something, because that was really, really intriguing. And I loved the differences between free when you're using something like Barbie's Booksy versus perma-free and all that kind of stuff. So that might be a cool thing to bring up again next week.
Oh gosh, that's good, because there are perma-free books. And as you guys might have known, that I released a free book, and that was Golden Heart 2, and it was for orphans. And it's like, good grief, guys. I want this book to be free. I don't want to, it's a book that's supposed to be a family for an orphan. So I worked on it with 35 other authors, and it's like, I want this book free. And you guys know what? Amazon, they didn't respect the competition. thing, the competition clause, and they eventually started charging for it. But it's like there is something. Perma-free is a whole new concept, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's something to consider, because I wish Lisa had been able to stay in, because that was really interesting when she was talking about, single mom working really hard, and you don't have the money for, to invest. And I think a lot of new authors, we get that, right? There's so much that goes into this. There's so many expenses. You don't have the money to spend, $2,000 or $3,000 on Amazon ads and so on. So trying to be smarter about it. Free feels good. You see the numbers, as she said, on Amazon, it changes and so on. And maybe you get read through if you have more books out there. So I get it. Like, I think we all get why that culture sort of exists. But if you're not, like, let's say you only have one or two books, free would be way less savvy. And I think there's just so much to be said about what else can you do, right? What else can you do on the cheap to get better results and still get paid? It's not easy, for sure. And I think I love the fact that there's no judgment here, right? The way that you set this up is awesome, because we're all just trying to make it and trying to help each other and boost each other. And there's no judgment. We all just want to see people get the value for their craft and not get taken advantage of.
I'm so glad you commented on that, because our community is so supportive. And even people who come in and they're not part of our writing community, I think that they would embrace our culture, which is accepting opposing views, because really, I think that each of us, we know that each author has his or her own journey. And we're not all going to have the same advertising budget, but I can guarantee you that my mind is always on the author who can't afford it. And I want to always make sure that we have resources that, even people with, the thinnest budget will be able to afford to do some things. And I do have a big master plan, and so does Laban, as far as helping everybody. But we got to get there a little bit at a time, and one concept is a time. So we will definitely, how about take that on next week and talk about the freemium for books. But we have other topics too. We have a broadcast schedule for the rest of the year. And so we just add on when somebody comes up with something.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we have a great plans and we really appreciate everybody who's been able to get on the show. We're looking forward to next week and the week after. We'll be sharing lots of nuggets. And as you said, Lisa wasn't able to look back on. I wanted to ask her in terms of, she has a lot of free ads. What's the best time? The what's for her in terms of what time does she post? What time does she have more frequency? I mean, does she have more results? The kind of thing.
All right. Laban and I wrote a freebie, and in the messages, I put the link there, and you'll be able to click that and see our free advice for the week. We will try to help grow our community so that each of you can increase your book sales and give you lots of great ideas. So can you see in the comments, if you just click on the purple comment bubble, you'll be able to see the link that I'm providing to our book show promotion, and then you just click on the free download, or you can just read it online if you're using your laptop. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close up today. Remember, your message matters. Let's encourage and support one another in our mission to love the world with our word. Everyone who came to our initial show put up with the technical difficulties. We will work this out, and we will grow and expand. Just love our writing community. Have a beautiful day, everyone.